One of the most interesting things about the hyper-teen movie Do Revenge is that the main character isn't a good person. Drea Torres is a chronically vengeful criminal. And sure, she's not the first evil queen bee in a teen movie, but what makes Drea stand out is the complexity behind her need for revenge and the way she goes about giving it. And what I really appreciate is that her emotional revenge journey is reflected through her visual identity. Costuming is a fantastic way to add to a character and something I think more teen movies need to do these days. And Drea does revenge as meticulously as she plans her outfits. Do Revenge is loosely based on the 1951 Strangers on a Train and takes inspo from several 90s and early 2000s teen movies, from Clueless to Mean Girls, 10 Things I Hate About You, The Craft, and more. And I think out of all the absolutely abysmal teen movies that have been released recently, I do think that this is one of the better ones. I don't think it can compete with most of the movies it references. However, there are two things I loved about it, which are 1, the aesthetic, and 2, Camila Mendes as the apathetic and popular Drea. So that's what I want to focus on. Drea does revenge on 5 people, and one of them she does revenge on twice, and gets away with almost all of them. To Drea, revenge is an art. So let's look at why she's so vengeful, her strategies for doing revenge, and how her aesthetic is so important to her revenge journey. So first, let me give some background on Drea. 17-year-old Drea Torres is a scholarship student and the queen bee of Rose Hill Country Day High School, a private school for the elites. When a video she films for her boyfriend Max is leaked, her image shatters and her rage is ignited. Max argues he was hacked, but Drea knows better and punches him. Drea is punished for assault, while Max is framed as a martyr for championing women. Now her scholarship is on the line, her reputation is tarnished, and she must do community service. If she has any more altercations, she'll be kicked out. And there goes Yale, her dream school. Drea may have an understandable reason to be against Max, but I think the first thing we have to understand about her is why she chooses vengeance to destroy him, along with everyone else who wrongs her. Why doesn't she fight for justice or be the bigger person? Why must she make others suffer? Believe it or not, Drea's personality makes her the perfect candidate for chronic revenge. Revenge is simply the desire to hurt someone because they hurt you. We seek revenge for a couple different reasons. Sometimes revenge is cathartic. You feel justice watching the other person suffer. Other times it's used to restore pride. If you bring someone else down, you'll look better. One trait that makes Drea more likely to seek revenge is placing exceedingly high value on reputation. Drea is motivated by status and belonging. Unlike her peers, she isn't from a wealthy family, so she's had to work for her seemingly perfect life, including the perfect boyfriend, friends, and fashion. Every decision she makes is to ensure acceptance of the elite. She's the only one of her friends to attend Rose Hill on scholarship, so she must constantly prove she fits in. What Drea dislikes most is people's pity. She doesn't want to be viewed as a victim, helpless, or disadvantaged, so she builds an illusion of strength. To Drea, pity is offensive and humiliating because it discredits her efforts and devalues her worth in an elitist society. If someone damaged her perfectly curated reputation that she's worked so hard for, her anger would motivate her to sabotage their reputation to reduce her own shame. Not only does Drea want to belong, she also wants to be at the top. To stay there, she manipulates situations to be in her favor while pulling down her opponents to maintain her own status. This need for status is reflected in her lavish and Y2K style. Fashion is important for reputation at Rose Hill, so she wears outfits that are on trend and just as over the top as everyone else's. While she may not wear designer pieces, you wouldn't know it. She easily blends into a crowd of rich kids, but she also has her own flair, with power suits and heart earrings and mini skirts that distinguish her as polished and dominant. Another trait that can be associated with vengeance is narcissism. Narcissism is characterized by a sense of entitlement, conceitedness, and a lack of empathy. Narcissists can be prone to vengeance because they literally don't feel bad about doing it. Drea cannot be more narcissistic. The first line she says in the movie is,
"Who wants a bite of me?" Trick question, everyone wanted a bite of me.
Drea is self-centered, adores attention, and doesn't care about others unless it's for her own gain. She especially lacks empathy for how her actions affect others. There are several times where Drea's harsh words and cruel tactics are shown to stick with people for years. But Drea is so self-centered, she doesn't even remember the people she's hurt, nor does she care when they remind her. As long as she's painted in a positive light and people admire her, that's all that matters. While this makes her great at revenge, it's also one of her greatest weaknesses. She's so focused on herself that she can't build meaningful connections with other people. Drea's style matches her narcissism with outfits that are dramatic, attention-grabbing, and daring. She avoids subtlety because she wants to be seen and she knows she looks good. Drea is also neurotic. A neurotic person typically doesn't handle negative events well. They're prone to anger, stress, and worry. They're a little bit more emotionally unstable. Drea's neuroticism makes her more likely to dwell on those who have wronged her, which creates a well of anger that she can't channel in a healthy way. On top of this, Drea is a type A personality, so she values winning and accomplishments. Drea is highly driven, meticulous, and perfectionistic. Her goal is to attend Yale and then Harvard Law. She's so particular that she tailors her uniform to be more fitted than the other students, and on several occasions, she wears outfits like a business suit. Her work ethic ensures her revenge schemes are sophisticated. They are not simply starting a fight or giving an insult. She's much more strategic, and she gets high off her own success. So how exactly does Drea do revenge? Drea's first victim is Allegra, the head of Rose Hill's Instagram witch clique. At Drea's party, Allegra says she saw Drea buy her dress at Salvation Army. Drea doesn't want the other elite students to think she isn't wealthy because she has a reputation to uphold. Drea turns to revenge to defend her pride and status, specifically through social manipulation. The techniques Drea uses here are flattery, passive aggressiveness, lying, and the threat of public shame. Drea makes a toast to thank everyone in attendance, but before she ends her speech, she singles out Allegra. This attention is unexpected, so it makes Allegra uneasy. Already, Drea has the upper hand. To display her power even more, Drea makes the crowd film Allegra. Now Allegra knows that how she acts next will be documented forever. Then Drea praises Allegra's outfit, but it includes a backhanded compliment.
I love your little spider hat thing. It's so big.
Drea uses flattery selfishly. Her compliments are disingenuous and are used to make herself appear kind and supportive in front of a crowd, which feeds her narcissistic need to be loved. Flattery is also a common manipulative tactic to increase trust. Her backhanded compliment is passively aggressive because she doesn't actually like Allegra's outfit. Then Drea lies. She says that Allegra learned about Drea's church's clothing drive, which doesn't actually exist, and so she pledged to donate her entire wardrobe to low-income women in need at the Salvation Army. This lie is framed in a way that makes it seem Drea values charity and selflessness, and more importantly, it indirectly blackmails Allegra if she doesn't go along with it. Allegra risks shame from the crowd filming her if she denies helping a good cause. In this elitist school, shame is not worth losing her clothes, so she doesn't deny it, and Drea wins. It's a perfect, socially engineered, manipulative scheme. Drea's style perfectly complements the power she has here. Her outfit is illuminating, flashy, and eye-catching. It pulls the attention towards her, especially while her friends are wearing matte pieces. She wears these massive heart earrings, which I love, by the way, which is a signature accessory throughout the movie. It's likely a projection of the love she has for herself and the love she wants to receive from other people. Her hair and makeup are put together and polished, but her youthful braids, face-framing pieces, and half-up, half-down hairstyle give an element of softness and relaxation. She's at her peak here, still in control, well-liked, and winning. This changes drastically by the next person she does revenge on, Erica. Erica is a patron of the summer tennis camp Drea works at. By now, Drea's video has leaked. She's shunned by her friends and boyfriend, in trouble at school, and she's angry. Even worse, she learns Erica circulated the video to everyone at camp. Incoming revenge number 2. Drea's reputation is already shot at this point. She can't deny the video and lie like she did with Allegra, so her main motivator for revenge here is catharsis. Erica's reputation should be damaged just as much as Erica damaged Drea's. Drea's strategy here is straight up criminal. She lies again and uses public humiliation. Drea frames Erica for drug possession, and Erica is dragged to rehab in front of everyone. Erica is less passive than Allegra, so she outright denies the allegations and accuses Drea of lying. But Drea is socially smart. She uses diversion and performative sympathy to reinforce her innocence and confirm Erica's guilt. When Erica accuses her, Drea remains calm, and the contrast between the two of them makes Erica look crazier, and Drea's calm demeanor diminishes Erica's emotions. She diverts away from Erica's claim that she framed her by drawing attention to Erica's hysteria and relating it to appearing high, thereby adding evidence to her drug problem and completely dismissing Erica's original accusation. This is a classic manipulative tactic. Then she addresses the crowd with a "pray for Erica," which makes her appear supportive of her well-being, again amplifying a completely fake humanitarian image. Even though Drea wins here, you can tell by her style that she's beginning to be stressed out about everything else. All her hair is pulled back into braids and then later in a high pony. She's starting to channel her need for control into her style because she's losing control of her life. Her ultra feminine pink look, which is one of my favorite looks that she wears, I love this outfit, is also meant to contrast Eleanor's grunge aesthetic, who, by the way, she meets at tennis camp, and it was Eleanor who told her that Erica circulated the video. Drea learns that Eleanor is transferring to Rose Hill, but is sour towards Carissa because she was the first girl she crushed on and supposedly started a rumor that made Eleanor out to be a predator. Since Drea wants revenge on Max for leaking her video, and Eleanor wants revenge on Carissa, they team up and do each other's revenge. No one knows they know each other, so no one will link the revenges back to them. Part of this plan involves giving Eleanor a makeover so she can integrate herself into Drea's old friend group. And this is where we learn how much of an expert Drea is at revenge. A key tactic for Drea is to isolate her target from everyone else. If no one wants to associate with or help them, then they'll suffer alone. We can also see how effective social isolation is at negatively affecting people, because this is exactly what's happened to Drea. Everyone shamed her for her video and for harming a seemingly innocent person. She's had to deal with FOMO, no support system, and helplessness. But true to her narcissistic nature, even though she knows how hard it is being alone, she doesn't feel bad about doing it to someone else. Drea also understands that the social repercussions between men and women are different, and therefore revenge should be planned accordingly. And again, we see this play out between Drea and Max. Drea has suffered immensely, but Max has just thrived. She says ruining girls' lives is easier because they're controlled by shame. Society shames girls for being too sexual or too emotional, so it's easier to blame them for wrongdoings and easier to destroy them. Her outfit here is so key to this whole scene, and I just love this look so much. It's business suit meets trendy popular teen. She's back in her confident hot pink, and the costume designer, Alana Morshid, I think that's how you say her name, says that this outfit is meant to show that Drea is still the queen bee she knows she is. And because she treats this makeover and teaching Eleanor about revenge like an assignment, this outfit is practical. The heels aren't super high, and it almost looks like she's going to the office. Since Drea must do community service for punching Max, she volunteers at the school's farm, which Carissa runs. The first tactic Drea attempts in her revenge scheme is using flattery to gain Carissa's trust. But it doesn't work because Carissa values work ethic over compliments. Plus, she clearly just doesn't like her.
Yeah, we've met before. You called me a human Birkenstock.
Cool.
So when she can't socially manipulate her way into Carissa's life, she instead decides to exploit her secrets. She breaks into Carissa's secret greenhouse, realizes she's hiding psychedelic plants, and sabotages the ring ceremony dinner Carissa planned with said plants. After getting the students high, Carissa is sent to rehab. So Drea was right. Ruining Carissa was incredibly easy. She only had to exploit her deepest, darkest secrets and destroy her reputation and achievements. But what's so interesting about this revenge is I really think Drea just enjoys plotting and creating chaos. I don't actually think she really ever cared about avenging Eleanor. She's just feeding her own narcissistic desire for accomplishment and destruction. When Drea spikes the soup, she isn't dressed in a formal dress like so many of the other girls. She's wearing this ice blue two-piece with pants, and it's such a powerful outfit that really means business. Her old friend group is also mostly in silver, so she's separated from them physically and visually. Her hair is also aggressive in this tightly wound bun with 90s spikes at the top. Altogether, this look is determined, assertive, and strong. And of course, her revenge is successful. When it comes to Max's revenge, it isn't as successful. By now, Drea's spite towards Max has significantly increased because he just keeps gaining more admiration from the school. Max matches Drea in personality on several levels. He's just as cunning, fake, and narcissistic, and I would say even then some. And he's just as meticulous when it comes to curating a popular reputation. He used the video to twist the narrative and build a fake platform of allyship with women. Everyone is admiring his vulnerability, strength, and commitment to dismantle the patriarchy. But like Drea fakes her commitment to charity for admiration, she knows it's an act and wants to expose his hypocrisy. The tactics Drea uses are criminal again. First, she has Eleanor lie, seduce, and flatter him to gain his trust. Even though Max is dating Tara, he can't resist temptation of a new conquest, so it's an easy in. Eleanor obtains text that reveals he's a cheater, and Drea gets her to breach his privacy and expose them. Drea revels in this chaos, and she completely ignores that she's also hurting several girls in the process, and she also overlooks that this is the very thing that destroyed her. Her apathy and lust for suffering emphasize her belief that pain is only wrong when she receives it. But this moment is short-lived anyway because her plan fails. They twist the leak and explain that Max is actually polyamorous. It's a Drea-level scheme to regain public acceptance. His cheating is framed as a progressive and open-minded approach to relationships.
It's actually super progressive of them to transcend heteronormative structures, you know?
Everyone loves him again because they have a shot of dating him. I thought this was so funny. This school is very shallow. To add to her failure, Drea is rejected from Yale. The combination of losing her social status, reputation, and future sends Drea into full-on neurotic villain mode. Her emotions are incredibly heightened and intensified, so she doubles down. She expands her revenge plans to Max's friends for not helping her. Her new plan is to expose them, plus get Max to admit he leaked the video. At this point, her makeup has shifted from polished to chaotic. She starts to wear intense bright red eyeshadow as she descends into madness. Red is the color of anger, passion, and dominance. Drea is consumed with rage at this point and more motivated than ever to win. Her hair is severely pulled back now. She doesn't have any face framing hair to soften it. When she vents to Eleanor, this is the first time we see her in a dark outfit. It's devoid of color with black accents. She's grieving her losses and starting to lose herself in her quest for payback. Losing Yale, which was her ultimate goal and why she's even at Rose Hill in the first place, is a disastrous setback. It clouds Drea's judgment so much that she's consumed by her narcissism. She becomes so focused on her own desperate need for revenge that she forgets Eleanor's birthday. And at this point, this is really hurtful because her and Eleanor have bonded and become friends, or so Eleanor thought. Drea's makeup here is still red and intense. Her outfits are extra lavish and attention attention-seeking with fluffy fur trims and massive flower embellishments, which mirror her excessive emotions and self-centeredness. She's annoyed that Eleanor isn't giving her attention, and her outfits are a way to demand it. Eleanor, feeling used, begins to reject Drea. And this is where the whole twist comes out. Long story short, Drea learns Eleanor has planned revenge on her this entire time. Drea, not Carissa, was the one who started the rumor about Eleanor, which ruined her life. Now Drea is a pawn in Eleanor's revenge against her, a scheme which involves Drea carrying it out herself by recording the scandalous things her and her friends do at an exclusive party. Eleanor crashes her car into Drea, so Drea gets her friends back through sympathy. This entire sequence, plus losing her boyfriend, which I completely skipped over, but that does happen, sends Drea to rock bottom. Drea, who used to be so confident and put together and self-assured, gives up. She no longer does her hair and makeup. Her school outfit is barely accessorized. And I think what's interesting here is why at this point does she not turn to revenge? What makes this time different? Drea prides herself on her intelligence and ability to wield power. Even though she's suffered shame, humiliation, and slander, revenge is always her safe space. She always has the upper hand, and she can't fathom anyone outsmarting her in this area. She isn't intimidated when she learns Eleanor's true intentions. It's only when Eleanor's plan starts to work that she gets scared. Plus, in the past, she only lost maybe one or two things, but at this point, she's lost almost everything. Her image, power, friends, love, health, and her future. It takes a healthy dose of her own medicine, which is a revenge scheme that rivals her own and works, for Drea to feel hopeless. Perhaps she has some self-reflection here. Was revenge worth losing so much? But if she does, it doesn't last that long because her ex-best friend gives her a pep talk and she's reinvigorated to do revenge all over again. At the party, Eleanor pressures Drea to do drugs with her friends, but Drea takes the opportunity to do revenge on Eleanor through social bullying. The tactics she uses here are diversion, flattery, humiliation, social exclusion, and preying on emotional insecurities. She's such an awful person. And this is actually a pretty realistic example, I think, of how girls use social politics to control friend groups and gain power, especially in high school. Drea diverts the attention away from herself by asking everyone to look at Eleanor and how pretty she is. The group listens, so the power dynamics of the conversation have shifted in her favor. Everyone forgets about the drugs, and Eleanor is uncomfortable with the sudden attention. This is exactly what she did with Allegra at the beginning of the movie. Then Drea uses Eleanor's traumatic secrets and insecurities to humiliate her. She recounts the story of nosy Nora and how she got a nose job, and everyone laughs. Eleanor feels targeted, vulnerable, and embarrassed, so she leaves. Drea wins, but for the first time, she feels bad. She runs after Eleanor to apologize. We're gonna put a pin in this scene and come back to it in a minute because I do think it's important to her character. I love Drea's blue dress here with the thick gold chain, which I think the costume designer said she bought at like a dollar store. This dress is structured and strong and eye-catching, which matches her resilience and reclaiming her power. Also, if you've noticed, Drea mostly wears cool colors in comparison to Eleanor. So the blue references stepping into herself again. Blue and orange are also complementary colors, and Drea and Eleanor balance each other out in trauma and guilt. While Drea is apologizing to Eleanor, Max appears and unintentionally convicts himself. He admits to leaking the video, and Eleanor catches him on camera. Despite Drea wanting to be a better person, her and Eleanor choose to do revenge anyway and show the video to everyone at the party, ruining Max's reputation for good. So by the end, has Drea even learned anything? Has she gained any empathy? Does she still value status, and will she continue to do revenge? I think she grows in some ways and not in others. After everything, Drea still lacks empathy. When she meets Erica in rehab and sees how terrible she's doing because of her, she doesn't even apologize. Also, I love Sophie Turner in this. I know everyone talks about her rage scene, but my favorite scene is this one. I just love how intense her silent rage is. And when she's like, "You made me develop an actual drug problem," and Drea's like, "Hope you get better, girl." Drea also suffers several of the same life-destroying fates that she gives her revenge victims. But these experiences, no matter how isolating and horrible, don't affect her outlook on revenge at all. She's the victim of a breach of privacy, yet happily does the same thing to other girls and Max. She isn't happy happy when Eleanor suggests planting drugs on her mom, but doesn't think twice about doing it to Erica and Carissa. The irony is that she wants to give everyone consequences for wronging her, while not receiving consequences of her own for how she destroys their lives. An emotion that Drea does have is guilt. She vents to Eleanor about feeling a knot in her chest growing tighter, but she has a difficult time understanding that she feels guilty because she simultaneously gets a rush of accomplishment and justice after each revenge she does. It isn't until the end of the movie when Drea finally comes to terms with this emotion when she apologizes to Eleanor. And I think this is a pretty big moment of growth for her because it signals that she isn't 100% narcissistic. She can feel bad about what she does sometimes. And I think without Eleanor's revenge wake-up call, Drea probably wouldn't have had this realization. Even though Drea won't do revenge on Eleanor anymore, I don't think she's ready to quit revenge on other people. She was still more than happy to do revenge on Max after all, even though he was a terrible person. Like, he's worse than Drea. Maybe he deserved it. And her boyfriend, Russ, who I didn't talk about, but you know, he's in the movie for like 2 minutes. He's really not that important, but he does help her channel her anger in a healthier way. But whether or not this lesson sticks with her, I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know if she's gonna learn that so quickly. When it comes to status though, Drea is offered a spot at Yale, but she rejects it. Russ does tell her earlier that she shouldn't equate herself to something that she thinks is the best just because society says so. So perhaps Drea does realize that she doesn't need to go to Yale to be great. She doesn't have anything to prove really, and she's okay figuring it out and avoiding the elites. So I think that's some progress, and if she doesn't care as much about having this super high status reputation, then maybe she will be less likely to do revenge in the future. Once Max is expelled, Drea is dressed in this soft light purple and yellow outfit. I love this outfit too. I loved all her outfits honestly, but I really liked this one. Yellow is a happy and optimistic color, and the lavender is soft and delicate. It's a very flowy and freeing outfit. Her makeup is glossy, shimmery, and light, and her hair is less tight and mostly down, and only 2 small butterfly clips remain in her hair, which is this very liberating metamorphosis, I guess, that she's gone through. The headmistress even calls her a butterfly, so I like to think that she's on her way to bettering herself. I loved Camila Mendes so much as Drea. I think she pulled off this character so well. Her comedic timing is so good, but I've said it before and I'll say it again, I don't think this movie is as classic as Mean Girls. This last act is kind of a mess. It has a lot of information going on and things are happening really quickly. Honestly, I didn't really understand a lot of it until I watched it a second time. And the pacing is also odd for how quickly Drea and Eleanor become friends again. And I really did not like this character. Oh my goodness. She shows up randomly to Eleanor and just starts talking to her out of nowhere. And then they have like barely any time together. So I don't really care about their relationship. But the rest of the movie, they completely nailed the vibe. I thought the humor was pretty funny. The aesthetic was so gorgeous. I really thought Max as a character was so well done. He also plays Ethan in Euphoria. The way he plays Max in this movie is just so infuriating, but it's so great. Like, that's exactly how this character is supposed to be. So he does a very good job. It was a fun take on the high school alpha male, because typically that character is very tall, muscular, a jock type guy, and he looks like the complete opposite, but he's still just as awful on the inside. Anyway, I'd love to do more types of videos where we analyze a character. If you did enjoy this, please let me know, and subscribe too if this kind of content interests you. I hope you have a lovely stress-free night. Don't linger on revenge. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.